Hi everyone, I'm Will from Global Geckos, and today we are doing a product review of the new Arcadia LumenIZE range. No, I'm not sponsored by Arcadia or paid in any way to do this. We just like the product and we think it's going to make our lives easier and your lives much easier and better at home as well. So the new LumenIZE range is all about upgraded versions of the standard Pro T5 unit for UVB and also an upgraded version of the LED bar as well. So with the Pro T5, superficially they look very similar. They're a slightly chunkier unit on the back. They do differ in terms of how you put the bulb in and out of them. So because these are now IP67 rated, they're more waterproof. They actually have these little clips at the end, and it's a small sort of like a rubber socket that comes out. That then in turn, your bulb goes into it, and once you've got them onto both ends, you then fit your bulb in, and these will then line up, and because they're a rubberized fitting, they give a watertight seal there. So that's one of the major differences physically. The other thing to point out is that the power lead is now also sort of got like a rubberized seal around it as well to help make that area of the unit more waterproof too. So the unit itself does differ slightly. With the Jungle Dawn, they again look very, very similar to the earlier version. Again, the way that the power leads on these fit is very different, so they now both use different cables to the earlier version. And on this you may see that there's actually a small sort of like screw off protection cap there. That's like a little waterproof seal over the power lead, and you have to remove that first in order to fit the power lead. The power leads themselves then also have a locking nut that goes onto them. So next up we'll look at how the app to control these works. So this is the new Arcadia LumenIZE app, which is how you control the new LumenIZE light units. So it communicates from your phone to the light units via Bluetooth, but there is an internal battery in the light units which will then also retain the settings, so that obviously when you go out and things like that, they do still know what they're doing. It doesn't need to retain a permanent connectivity to your phone in order for the light units to work. And it also means that if you have a power cut or you turn the units off, when you turn them back on again, they will still have the same settings saved. So what you can see on the app here, where I've currently got the Pro T5, which is on the tank in the background there, at the moment, this is Light Cycle 2, which is one of the pre-programmed ones which comes with the app. You can see it's going to bring the light on to approximately 50% intensity at 5 o'clock in the morning. At 6 o'clock in the morning, it's going to come up to about around about 75%. And then from 7 o'clock in the morning, it's up at 100% throughout the day, all the way through until 6 o'clock, when it will then drop down to 60%. And then it will drop down to 30% at 7 o'clock and go off completely at 8 o'clock. So this is one of the predefined light cycles. You can also set your own lighting cycles here, and you can edit the ones which come as standard on the app as well. So you can do up to 7 different lighting cycles, which you can then switch between. In order to show you how the dimming capabilities of this work, we can't stand here and wait for it to do an entire day's light cycle, but what I can do is, if I take the power slider here and gradually decrease, then you can see in the background there, the Pro T5 at the front of the tank is gradually going down or gradually coming back up again in terms of intensity. And then if I turn that one down, and then if I switch over to the LED bar and do the same, you'll be able to see that gradually dimming towards the back of the tank. And then again I can raise that all the way back up again. So that's how the app works in terms of dimming and increasing the intensity of the units. And as you can see, you can set different times with half-hour increments, but I believe in the custom mode, where you add a time slot, you can actually add it down to the minute, so you can make it quite specific in terms of what time you want it to do different bits and pieces. There's also a couple of other bits in the app as well, so there's a little note taking area if you want as well, and your devices will show up at the top here. You can have up to 50 individual units connected to the app at any one point in time. Obviously for us as a store, we're going to need a lot more than that, but it just means that we download the app onto multiple tablets and then we can control them in batches of 50 light units that way. Now that we've looked at how the app works, let's take a look at a few of the other changes to the LumenIZE range when compared to the earlier versions of the Pro T5 and the Jungle Dawn LED bar. As I said at the beginning, the power leads for these now are different to on the earlier versions, so that also means that the link cables to connect them are also different. The link cables are no longer included in the box with them, which may upset some people, but they're not expensive to buy, and it does at least mean that people are only going to be buying them as they need them rather than the amount which probably were inevitably ending up in landfill before. I certainly know that in the store here, when we were selling the Pro T5 units, I reckon maybe 1 in 10 customers was probably using that link cable. So these days it's certainly going to reduce environmental waste that way. So with the Pro T5s, the new end to it is superficially similar but has an additional rubber seal, and with the LED bar, because it's now a completely different fitting with a locking nut in order to give it a waterproof seal, it does mean that there's also 3 different types of link cable. So you can get a link cable which has 2 of the ends to link 2 Pro T5 units together. There is a different cable with 2 of the LED bar sort of end sockets on it, or like this cable here, this is one which contains 1 Pro T5 end cable and 1 LED bar end cable. That means that the fittings at each end here are for use linking a T5 to an LED bar. With the new LumenIZE range, there are also a few other changes to it. So with regards to the Pro T5s, they are available in exactly the same selection as they were. So in the original versions of the Pro T5, so there is a Shade Dweller version and a Shade Dweller Max, so that's the 30cm and the 60cm. Those aren't the high output tubes, those are the lower UV producing tubes for species with a lower UV requirement. But then there is also the standard 2 foot, 3 foot and 4 foot long Pro T5s, and they are available again with the 6%, the 12% and the 14% tubes. So there's not a lot has changed there with the Pro T5 LumenIZE range in comparison to the earlier Pro T5s. With the LED bars, there is a slight change. The wattage has increased only by a couple of watts per unit, but one of the biggest differences is that there is actually now a longer LED bar than previously. There is now an 80 watt version which we have there, and this is a 4 foot LED bar, so that was something that was missing in the earlier range of the Jungle Dawn LED bars. One of the final changes regarding hardware is, as I mentioned earlier, there is actually a battery in both of these units which is there to help the internal computer remember the settings that you've programmed. So that is a replaceable part. So on the back of the unit here, you may just be able to see there's a slightly raised area here. So that houses the battery in there. That can be replaced. We've been informed that they should be lasting round about 3 years. So it's not something that is going to need doing on a regular basis, but it's also not something that's going to affect the overall sort of longevity of the product if a battery wears out and it's not replaceable. One of the last bits to discuss in relation to this new product is the energy consumption. So assuming that you have programmed your lighting units to do the gradual increase for dawn and the gradual decrease for dusk, it does mean that over the course of a day they're going to consume less power. We've been informed by Arcadia that this saving is round about 30%, so that's obviously going to be a major benefit at the moment, especially with energy costs so high. So that's yet one more amazing sort of bonus with this product. So there we have it. That is the new Arcadia LumenIZE range of lighting, and you may sort of be expecting some form of a review to stop there. We've introduced the product, we've shown you what it can do, but that's not really the point of this. The point of this video is for me to inform you of how this product can benefit you as a keeper, and certainly why we're so excited about it as people that breed reptiles professionally for a living. So what I want to do is talk about why that functionality is of benefit. So the first thing is on a day-to-day basis, with this being able to set dawn and dusk patterns into your lighting units. A lot of the reptiles that we specialise in, obviously with a name like Global Geckos, we do breed loads of different species. We breed lots of geckos, we breed lots of chameleons, we breed various snakes, loads, but obviously a lot of geckos. Most geckos are crepuscular in nature, so they are at their most active at dawn and dusk. Therefore, if we can finally simulate that dawn and dusk cycle, we are allowing them the ability to go about their daily activity patterns under far more natural lighting. So that's going to be a massive benefit, and I can't wait to use these to see what difference in their behaviour comes about, and to see if we get increased activity, increased feeding, better breeding results. Like, you know, the possibilities are endless, because this is the first time that we've had a dedicated product to do this. So especially if you're keeping species which perhaps are going to be more active at dawn and dusk, that dawn and dusk cycling should pay off immensely. You know, it's only going to be a good thing. As well as being able to set different lighting profiles for dawn and dusk, one of the things which I'm actually most enthusiastic about with regards to the LumenIZE range is the fact that you can set up multiple different profiles and then switch between them throughout the year, therefore making it much easier to provide your animals with seasonal variation. And you may think, what's the point? Obviously, all of these animals in the wild, they would experience some form of seasonal variation, some more in relation to temperature or humidity, but certainly there's going to be a difference in light cycles for the vast majority of species at different times of year. That's something that's very, very interesting and important to us as people that breed lots of reptiles. Often, different species of reptile won't breed unless you give them additional seasonal cues so that they know when a good time of year to breed is. Now, there's some good thermostats on the market. We can change temperatures and we can vary the temperature at different times of year so that we can give them lowered temperatures over the winter. That's been a pretty common practice for years. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Where we have always been so successful at breeding reptiles, that is because we play around with light cycles a lot. So we will often decrease the day length during winter months, so we will physically have their light units on for less hours per day. We may switch between sort of a 12 to 14 hour cycle down to even just like an 8 to 9 hour cycle in the winter. One of the other things which we've done over the years is fiddle with how we can increase UV at different times during the day and then decrease it at other times of the day, and then shift that pattern throughout the course of the year. One of the things that we've done is we've actually used multiple light units in the same enclosure, so that we would have one UV, for instance, on from say 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening, but we would mount a secondary UV alongside it to come on just for sort of 4 hours in the middle of the day. Therefore, as we're programming our thermostats to increase the temperature for the heat of the day, we're also increasing that UV output perfectly to mimic that increase in energy from the sun during the heat of the day, where there's more heat, more light intensity, more UV. So for us to finally have a light unit that we can program to increase and decrease that UV output over the space of the day, and then to use different settings at different times of year, that's going to make a world of difference to a lot of our breeding projects, and it's going to really simplify things for us. There have been a few other ways of doing this. Dimmable ballasts for UV bulbs, they do exist, but no one's really put it all together as a easy to use package previously. We've had all sorts of weird contraptions that we've tried over the years, linking different bits of electrics together to try and achieve a similar result. So to be able to use something that's actually designed for that purpose is going to be amazing for us, to be able to use this seasonal shift in lighting patterns to help stimulate our reptiles to breed, but also to give them that that window where they have their downtime so that they know that this is sort of off season. So it's just going to work wonders for us, and that's something that you can benefit from as well at home. So often people come into us over the winter and they might be like, oh, my bearded dragon's less active, you know, what can I do about it? Some people will try and fight that. They will try and sort of wake their animal back up by increasing sort of light levels, temperature levels. Other people will go, you know what, this is natural for them that they would have a period of downtime over the winter. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to give them that natural cycling. It's going to help benefit them in the long run. So that's what you're going to be able to do at home as well, is you're going to be able to change those lighting cycles in line with heat and temperature cycles to mean that we can provide seasonal variation in a way that we've never been able to do before. So this is fantastic tech for that. So there we have it. That is the new LumenIZE range of lighting from Arcadia. I hope that you are as excited about it as we are. We're definitely looking forward to retrofitting lots of our breeding enclosures with it, and we're certainly going to be utilising it in all of our enclosures moving forward. So obviously these videos, we want you to get some information and enjoy them. If you want to help support us, please do go online, follow us on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're just at Global Gecko's Reptile Shop, and obviously we would love it if you used our website or visited us in store. So you can visit our website at www.globalgeckos.co.uk, or you can come and find us at our store in Windlesham in Surrey, UK. Thanks very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed the videos.